Hey YouTube, it's Mike here. I'm at like a community garden spot, um, and I thought I'd just do a little bit. I mean, I've done a fair amount of, I don't know what you want to call it, maybe land reclaiming or something to that effect. This particular area here is a group of people that are fairly hardcore and determined to follow a relatively strict no-till organic method of growing. And unfortunately, they started in a field that had been kind of worked and raped by a farmer for a number of years. And if you're going to do organic, or say like me, and you're going to do, I guess I would just say cheap. I don't buy sprays, but that's not because I refuse to use them necessarily as a belief, but it's more because I'm too cheap to buy them. So I tend to use manures, wood chips that I get for free. I grow things like peas and beans to accumulate nitrogen. I use ashes, all those types of things. And, I've found a lot of natural ways to do things, but a lot of it has more to do with the cost of getting into these things. And I guess the point of what I'm saying is, when you're doing something like reclaiming, or however you'd like to word that, like reclaiming land that's been kind of used and abused. I mean, even if you are non-organic or if you are organic, there's some pretty basic things when you're walking into some really garbagey ground that's full of weed seeds and probably been sprayed with Roundup so much, that there's no life left in it, no microorganisms and all that stuff. And a lot of that is using manures. They did follow my advice on one part this year, where they were putting a new plot in. They had tried the first year they were here to not till anything, and they found, as I kind of had suggested, that the work it takes to get the ground through using organic methods suitable for growing takes a heck of a lot of work. And so my suggestion is to kind of throw away your ideals of the no-till for the first year, get some manure and whatever good material and work that in so you got yourself a good base to start that's not overly compacted. And that way you can also get some of your organic matter down in and give yourself a bit of a head start. And then you can go to your no-till, and hopefully that will that will be able to be continued then without any issues. The other thing, I guess, that I've noticed, and this being kind of a public, or however you want to say that, community type garden, is just the way it's arranged. I know most of the people that work here or with this program are from the city. Probably, I don't know for sure. I'm assuming they kind of live in apartments and whatnot, and so they only have this area to grow, which is kind of a pain in some ways. I mean, it's great that they can do it, but the fact that they don't live here means that they can't pick and choose to come out for 15-20 minutes here and there when they have time. And if you live at the property where the garden is, that makes a heck of a big difference. And I guess the other thing is they do have kind of a set program, which I'm not sure I totally agree with doing it that way, but they do have a number of hours that they each put in. certain days of the week and all that. And I'm not sure how the right way is. I mean, I can't suggest, I'm not saying they're doing it wrong. I'm saying that I think there's got to be more flexibility. And sometimes, and I've seen this before with other projects like this, where the flexibility ends up being more of an issue than any other real aspect of the project. So those are kind of some tips on that. I mean, or some thoughts on that, I guess I should say. You know, if you could come in the spring, you know, and put in a couple of good 18-hour days and get things set up, you could back off your hours in the rest of the time. But they're trying to keep things fair and even, and I find, just from following this here and there, that ends up being almost a negative, because you lose the ability to put in the time and energy when needed, because you're trying to keep everything even and fair, and so you're trying to never have someone doing more work than another. And unfortunately, I think in the end, that's going to end up being what has to happen. You're just going to have to, someone's going to bite the bullet and put in the time and the energy when it's needed, because they can. And then hopefully other people can do it, but it's like, there has to be a way to try and not keep score or something. I'm not sure how to do that. But it's been an interesting one. I wish I had more time and energy with all my other projects. I don't tend to. But it'd be interesting to get involved in more of these types of projects. They actually asked me if I wanted to have a plot here, but with my little spot at home there, I don't have time, or else I would. And the other thing is I'm not sure whether there would be headbutting or not, because I tend to be, like, I educate myself the best I can. I look at what other people have done, and then I follow my guts and my instinct, because, even say I'm planting tomatoes, it doesn't seem to matter. I can check the weather. It'll say there's no frost and whatever, and I've got this bad gut feeling, and if I go with what I've been told, then they get froze off or whatever. And it seems that if I follow my instincts, backed up as much as I can by whatever science I can find, then that tends to be more of a successful route for me. And I'm trying to, the few people I work with here and there in person, I'm trying to relay how I see it and how I think through it. And I guess that's been part of my YouTube adventure here so far, is trying to give insight. And it's not advice, it's a way to think about whatever the project is. And I'm hoping people are getting that, and that you're finding it interesting at the same time, because a lot of the stuff that I do that everybody thinks is so different, and it turns out well or something, and I always have to stop and say, I can't give you the plans for this. This is something that I've done kind of, this is the science I followed. I can give you that information, and then I can give you some of the variations that I did. But more than anything, what you've got to figure out is how to put everything together and how to follow your gut instincts. And obviously there's certain facts that are going to be true no matter what, and other things, somebody might say, oh, we're in southern Ontario right now, we can't grow this. And I might be near a microclimate, say a small lake or a lot of concrete in the city, and that's not going to be true, because maybe I do have the heat units because of my microclimate. So that's, just little tidbits of information here and there. And I mean, like I say, there's a lot of science involved in what I end up doing, but a lot of it is just more guts and going with thinking through things in a critical and sometimes just a different manner. And it's not necessarily always a plan or somebody's recipe. It's knowing how things work together and then being able to use that in order to come up with the exact right solution. So I don't know if the gardening stuff is interesting to people. I'd be curious to hear whether you want to see more or hear more. I'm going to maybe keep doing a few more tips and tricks and things that I've done, things that I've noted. And if you like that kind of stuff, let me know and I'll keep doing more. Because there's no sense putting up a whole bunch of videos nobody wants to watch. Anyway, I'll talk to you. Ciao.